This video is called Insulating a Knee Wall. Now I'm inside the knee walls upstairs in my second floor bedroom area, and I'm going to point out a couple of things. All of you know about soffit vents. Let me show you a soffit vent from inside the attic itself. This here is what we call a baffle. This allows the air from the soffit down below to float up. And believe me, I'm standing here, it's a windy day, and the wind is actually blowing, well, you can see down there, it's blowing, and it's actually blowing up into my face. But this is what the baffles look like inside an attic. Just above the soffit vents, and this allows the heat in this area here to actually escape. But anyways, back to insulating a knee wall. Again, I'm inside the wall. Here is my outside or the inside wall of my bedroom, along with the slope up here, and then we have the actual attic flat up on top of the main attic. But coming back inside the wall, normally this here is the cold area of the thermal boundary, and of course inside the bedroom is the heated part of the thermal boundary. Now when I insulated this attic, there's two ways I could have insulated this. I could have came straight down the slopes from up here in the ceiling area, the slope. I could come down all the way down the slope and continue with insulation all the way down. And if I did, I'd be sitting inside the heated or the conditioned portion of the room. Well, there's a lot of space here, and there's no sense in me heating this for nothing. I don't even have storage up here. But I leave this here outside of the conditioned area. So what I did is I actually insulated the knee wall itself. And this here is insulated with 4 inches of high-R insulating board. And the way to do this, we insulate this wall, and then we insulate the floor. Let me see if I can get the spotlight on it. We insulate underneath the floor itself, as you can see, the blown insulation there. This is what they call a knee wall flat. And my knee wall flat is actually 5 feet across. And it runs, I don't know if you can see the light way down there, but it runs the whole length of the house, all the way down. And so I've insulated the floor, keeping the heat below this floor, which is my living room, dining room area down below here. So I created a thermal boundary separating my downstairs area down below this plywood to where the heat is. Above this plywood is now the cold. Same thing in the bedroom here. What I did is I insulated this wall, the knee wall, and kept the heat in the bedroom and keeping the cold out here in this knee wall area. When you do this type of insulating that I did, this is called the L, because if you look at it, it looks like an L. Again, another way of doing it is just strictly coming straight down the slope. Some people prefer that if they have a lot of storage in their knee walls. It could be open for different reasons that they would prefer to have it heated. But in my case, I do not want this voided space here to be heated. So I do the L part of the knee wall. When you're doing this, you notice we have the insulation there, and it runs completely underneath this plywood. And then it stops right here, right at the bottom of the L here. It stops here. This is what they call a transition area. And this here is blocked because I don't want to insulate underneath my carpeting here and so forth, because the heat from downstairs will actually rise naturally and help warm this room. So you don't have to insulate that, because that my carpeting in the bedroom here is inside that conditioned area. So that all becomes one. Over here, if I can back up, you get the very top. This area right here is another area where they call it a transition area. This is, if I'm running up this slope, I can go right from there past this knee wall going up the slope to my main attic outside there. So this here you block off, and there's insulation on the other side of this. There's blown insulation going up those slopes, and I'll explain that when I go back out in the room. I'll show you that area. But this here is called a transition area also. That's on the very top of the knee wall. You block that off to keep the insulation up there into the slope. So I've come down the slopes in the bedroom. I stop here, then I transition down into the actual knee wall itself, and then from there across the floor. So I make that perfect L, and where I'm standing now is cold. Once I go into the bedroom, then it becomes warm. But this is basically what you would do when you're dealing with a knee wall. Also, this here, I have another section that runs from here across inside the bedroom, and I'll show that. We have to insulate this because, again, this is another wall, and you're plotting out that thermal boundary to keep this space here in the unconditioned area, and of course the bedroom being the conditioned area. So let me jump out here. Again, this here is the knee wall running up, which is insulated on the opposite side, which you saw that the high R material. Then we come to the ceiling, which is the slope running up, and that's a 6-foot span from here to the bottom of the knee wall. That is all insulated. And at this area here, I have a transition. Oh, I'm sorry, down the bottom here we have the transition, and then we have the transition right here, keeping all of the blown insulation in that slope. Then we get to the attic flat, which is the flat portion of the ceiling, and that there is 5 feet across. That there is insulated also. Now we go into the closet area where my wife has her closet, and I hope her closet's clean. Oh, it is. On the opposite side, if you can see there, but on this wall right here is basically a knee wall area. That there again is all insulated along with the slope going completely straight on up and out. Not sure if there's anything else I should be explaining on this, but if there is, we can talk about it when we have our meeting on this. So if you have any questions, as far as the flats, you would normally have R38, but in my case I have electric heat up here, so I have R49 in my flats, and I have R30 running down my slope, and then I have the 4-inch high R board on my knee wall. All right, If there's any questions, of course, write it down and I'll be more than happy to answer. All right, that's the end of my video.